Hey everyone, welcome back to Love and Golf, a podcast about our romantic, passionate, and sometimes twisted love affair with the game and the valuable lessons it's given us and what we give back to it. My next guest, guys, I'm really excited to dive in. My next guest has built a large brand and following online. He is one of, if not the go-to reviewer of sneakers. His resume, if you read it, would include musician, composer, music producer, YouTuber, and most recently, golfer. Jacques Slade, formerly known as Cousteau, has built a career out of sneakers and is one of, if not the guy you go to for all the latest drops, the reviews, everything. But recently, golf has started to shine through on his page. Before Jacques became one of the most influential people in the sneaker world, he was grinding. Like I'm talking grinding, doing whatever he had to grow his business, grow his following, and just make a living in the process. His story of how he went from being fired to building over a 1 million subscriber base is remarkable. Truly living proof that every breakdown can cause a breakthrough. Couple that with his love for golf and how golf has helped him live his life and really build what he's built. I'm excited to dive into his story and learn from Jacques, not only about how to build a brand online, but really get his take on the future of golf, the game, and how it was really impacted by pop sneaker culture and how it really kind of influenced golf's boom. So without further ado, Jacques, my man, welcome to the show, Love and Golf.
Thank you for having me. That was a very, very kind intro. I appreciate those kind words.
Brother, I think that's we are new friends. I'm going to call you friend. We just got the chance to talk offline and kind of get to know each other. Dude, so from one entrepreneur to another, like I think I want to start here. Building anything, like having the courage, this foresight to just go, I'm passionate about this, like I love this, and I'm going to make this my work. First, that's nearly impossible to commit to, and then to actually like profit from it, like make money. So I would love it if you could take the time to first kind of take us through who is Jacques. You know, people know you as the sneaker guy, but like who are you? Like who's that guy? Who's that man? And then how did you find golf?
Gosh, who's that? Who is Jacques? I feel like that's a question for anyone that's just multi-layered and in the words of Donkey from Shrek, like we're all an onion in one way or another. There's so many different layers to us. So Jacques is a guy that grew up in the suburbs, I guess, of California. I guess what you would call them, of LA, Pacoima, California,
Yep.
predominantly black neighborhood, poor. Didn't graduate from college. I started in school but never graduated. Loved basketball. Thought I was going to be a big time rapper. Loved sneakers. Somehow turned it into part of a business of talking about shoes, and fell in love with golf as well in the process, and have been able to make that a part of the business. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle. I'm all the things that we all are, just I guess from my own perspective.
Yeah. And I think probably the most relatable is a high handicapper to try and become a scratch golfer. That's what everybody wants, right? So
Oh, gee, that's a whole different podcast, bro.
well, bro, I gotta thank you for really taking the time because I know as a content creator, which I'm excited to learn from you on that side of things because I'm not necessarily one, but I think it's fascinating the world of social media, how fast it moves,
Yeah.
the intensity and the consistency. So I'll definitely punt that question for later. But I just want to thank you
Okay.
for taking the time. And so to start everything, the thread that I kind of weave through all of these interviews and these conversations are just, golf is this microcosm for life. Golf, how you live life or how you play golf is kind of how life treats you or how you treat golf. So there's such a parallel, and I'm curious to know. You told me you took up golf in 2013 approximately with your buddies. Can you take us through that inflection point of when you were like, "Holy shit! Like I love this," and maybe kind of preface of what it means to you in your life?
Yeah. So for me, I'll go back a little bit. For me, the relationship that I have with my friends is very much a social situation. Like our relationships are very social.
Hmm.
So in college, um, like the friends that I have now are all guys that I met in college. I have some friends from before, but the guys that I primarily hang with are all guys that I met in college, and we all became close friends um, through two things: basketball and video games. So we would all play ball. We all played in intramurals, and so we would all
Yeah.
play. We would all go out and party. But the majority of the time that we spent together was playing video games together.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would, I mean, late nights in the dorm room, hooking up four TVs so we could all be playing together, and we would just go all night long. We would meet in the quad and go. We had one of our friends was in the student union, and so he would let us into like the conference rooms, and we'd hook up the video games to the TV in the
Oh,
conference room and play video games in the conference room. So it was always this very like communal thing that we had
yeah.
going on. So
Yeah.
a lot of the way our relationship works is it's not like, hey, you know, calling one person and coming to hang out. It's really like, yo, let's get everybody together and let's all
Yeah.
hang out. And
Yeah.
so eventually uh a couple of the guys started playing golf, and you know, being the basketball guy, like, bro, I play basketball, bro, you can get this jumper. I ain't trying to hit the little ball, like whatever. You know, like that was the conversation. But eventually I went out with them a couple of times, and then like that started to become like their communal sort of relationship. That was the place where they were meeting as friends. And
Yeah.
so I was just like, all right, I can't like I I don't give if it's golf, fine, we'll play golf then. Fine, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so that relationship, like that's where that relationship came into play. And like, you know, you hit a good shot and you like, oh, I think this game is easy. Then you hit a bad shot, and then you hit a good shot, and you hit a bad shot, or you hit a long putt, or you get a nice chip. And like I didn't know what I was doing. I had never taken lessons. I had never really played golf in any like real competitive capacity. It'd been like, oh, you play once. I played once 5 years ago, and I'll play again 2 years from now, like that kind of thing. So for me, getting those good shots, and then it was like, okay, how do I repeat that? What do I do? What do I do to repeat that?
Mm-hmm.
And the more I started to chase the repetitiveness of it, the more I started to love it. And then like I get exposed to like the culture of golf, and that kind of turned me off a little bit because there was like so much
Right.
like
Right.
forced focus on the etiquette, and this is how this is done, and you can't do this and you can't do that. There were so many you can'ts in golf that it became a little bit frustrating. But the friendship circle kind of kept me into it, and you know, and then you started to adjust to it, and then you fall in love with it enough to where it became, hey, you know, this is great, but let's like, how do we change this? How do we make this more accepting of more people? How do we make this a game that everybody can learn to appreciate? And so like that's kind of where the focus has kind of landed me now. Was like, how do we make this not, and it's not necessarily change. Like I hate to say change golf because I don't want to change golf. I want to widen the aperture of golf,
That's a great
and
way to say it.
that's kind
Yeah.
of been the way. That's kind of been like where the love is really fueled from now. It's like understanding the game, but also growing it and presenting it in a way that makes it more palatable for a much larger audience.
Yeah, dude, that's really well said. Widen the aperture. I mean, because when I grew up, I told you I grew up playing, you know, since I was like 12. So let's date myself here. I was in the high school golf team in early 2000s, and at that point, brother, like it was just collared, pleated shorts, pants, and there was no sense of fashion, no sense of style. It was just basic, and there were rules, and you followed them. If you didn't follow them, you didn't play. So I think the Tiger effect helped take the aperture, as you said, call it, and make it a little bit wider. And then, you know, as the years have gone on, more personalities, they'll call it like Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas's of the world, you know, Bryson, they have kind of helped support the Tiger boom. But now what happened with, I think, like, you know, with the pandemic, with Top Golf and making golf more approachable, the
Yeah.
aperture is as wide as I think it can be right now. And I want to ask you, this is the really big question I want to ask you. You can't answer it yet. This is going to be a preface to later, is
Okay.
like the pop sneaker culture influence, because that's your bread and butter. But before
Yeah.
we get there, I want to educate everyone listening right now, because they may not be familiar with you, because your audience may not be the Mully family yet. Like I want you to tell everybody, as I know you're going to be humble and it's hard to do this, but like brag on yourself and like, because bro, what you did, like literally, like from working jobs, getting let go, having gigs, not work like to building this.
Yeah, yeah,
Can
yeah.
you take us through that? Like I want just a quick little history lesson of that side of job.
So I guess my internet world, I guess, started really in 2010. I started writing for a couple of sneaker websites, and then in 2013, I was let go. Oddly enough, didn't even think of it like the correlation to golf there. That's when golf started too. But in 2013, I got let go, and then the next day, I put up a YouTube video of my own on my own YouTube channel, talking about sneakers the same way. And the goal back then was like, oh, let me, like, I was working for these sneaker blogs. It was like, I'm going to create a video version of these sneaker blogs. Because back then, it was like, there's no way I can compete. These people have staffs of 5, 10, 15 people writing every day. But none of them had the sort of video chops that I had back then. And so I started just
All
creating
self-taught, self-editing,
all self-taught. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
taught myself everything from you, basically from YouTube, all from YouTube. Like YouTube University taught me everything I know about video editing and camera settings and audio and all of those things. So that started there, and because I had already was doing a little bit of video for those places, when I started doing it on my own, it was still different enough back then that it kind of set me apart from everything else that was going on, and it just continued to grow and grow from there. And then the brands were being very generous with me back then. Um, letting me interview guys. So I was interviewing KD and Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant and whoever else. Like all of these people, like I got access to them again because I was just doing something different at the time. Obviously, now it's totally different in the world of sneakers,
Yeah.
but that really set me apart, and that just kind of allowed me to grow. I randomly found a niche. I can't even say that I planned it. My goal was honestly just to create a video version of what they were already doing, and that was the differentiator that allowed me to kind of set myself apart and allowed me to grow.
Yeah, bro. I want to touch on one thing you said that was genius. The YouTube University, I think, and even just being self-taught. I think I'm trying to be really humble and respectful too when I say this because I have built a few different companies in my lifetime, and I didn't. So I every startup needs a graphic designer. You need a marketer, you need a sales guy, and I had to learn all of that. I mean, I was always pretty good at sales growing up, but like because I was with my internships and whatnot. But like I didn't know anything about Adobe Photoshop. I learned it. I had to go figure it out to make all the collateral. So I think there's something to be said for anyone listening that really wants to go start. And you're like, I don't know where to start. I think we both, Jacques, you and I both felt that. And it is as daunting as it is. You just put that 1 foot forward and just start to learn. It's probably not going to be your best work, but you fast forward, keep compiling that, and days, months from now, you're going to improve. And it's just repetition. So I love that you said that.
And that's a key part of it too. And I think it also it allows you, it gives you a different level of respect for the people that do that at a high level.
Correct. Yeah,
Like
dude, that's well
even
said.
if you can do those things, like I can do everything I need to do in the studio. I can mic, I can shoot, I can write, I can direct, I can do all of those things. But I know me doing all of those things is not going to be as good as if I had those 5 talented people in this room. I did it out of necessity.
Correct.
And I think we got to start in doing it out of necessity. But once you're able to have someone that can do that and that's dedicated to that, they will elevate the things that you do so much quicker than you could if you tried to keep doing it alone.
Can I ask you a hard question now? Like, do you ever wake up and just be like, oh, I got to do this today?
Every day, just like anybody else. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a job. This is a
Yeah.
job, like any
Yeah.
other job. Like I get up, I got to come in the office and get everything set up, turn on the lights, turn on the computer, just like everybody else. They go to work, they sit in their cubicles, or they go wherever they go. They turn on the computer. It's the same thing. It's a job. And yes, there are benefits to this job,
Correct.
obviously
Yeah. Yeah.
that make
Yeah.
it probably more fun than the normal job. But there's also the fact of uh, I don't have health benefits. I have to buy my own health benefits. I don't have a 401k match. I have to put into my own 401k. I have to put into my own SEP. Like I don't have someone handling my payroll. I have to handle the payroll. Like I have to do all of those things. So as great as it is that I get to do all these benefits, there's also the side where I have to do everything else that you don't have
Yeah.
to worry about when you go to your job.
Yeah.
So like it's the good and the bad. And that's not to complain. I live a blessed life. God has been good to me without question. But at the same time, there are these other things that people don't necessarily think about when they see the life on the internet. They don't think about the outside parts.
Oh yeah, dude. I was just gonna say there because there's two sides to every coin, right? And there, while it creates some freedom and flexibility to do what you love, there's so much responsibility, and I'll just call it responsibility that you just mentioned that you have to take on. And I think that was my segue into my next question, which is, has golf, I have a really, and I could be weird, bro. Like I could be the weird one. I have such an intimate relationship with golf. I refer to golf as the muse. If you know Stephen Pressfield at all in his work, there's like, he refers to creativity as this music goddess that like hovers over us and it's an energy. And I just relate to that. Like in my trying times of starting companies or in failures or even, just family struggles, I've looked to golf for so much as a reprieve, like, so in building your companies and your path, what you've gone through and finding golf, has it served any purpose like that?
Um, golf has, I guess that's, golf has taught me that it's okay to fail more than once because you never know what that failure is going to lead to. Like, I think we all know that, but there's no way that that becomes, I think, more. There's very few places that becomes more evident than in golf. Like you can hit a terrible tee shot that goes into the trees and is sitting in the thickest of rough, and you think, well, this hole's blown. I messed up. Like it's already bad. But then you hit a great shot out of the rough, and you're right back in the fairway in a better place, or you're right on the green and it changes your whole perspective on the whole. So I think for me, it's like it's one of those things where golf is one of those things where you have to be like, and you have to try, and you don't like you never know if it's going to work. You may think, okay, I'm going to try and fade this around this tree, and it might not work, but you learn something in that kind of thing. Like, and I think that's like golf. You're constantly learning about what you can do, what you can't do. There's strategy involved. There's so many things I think involved in golf. Like there's the easy way. Oh, I can just hit my driver. It's a 330-yard hole. Let me just hit my driver. But as you played the game more and you failed, you've messed up so many times, you realize I don't need to hit a driver. Maybe I just hit a 3-wood, go 250, and then that'll leave me 80 yards in. I'm actually pretty good at 80 yards in. So I'll just shoot, go from 80 yards in as opposed to try and hit the driver as far as possible. So it's like the same thing, like in the work, it's not like you don't have to go for the win all the time. Do the small things and they'll lead to the big things. And I feel like golf is like a perfect example of that.
All right, guys, that's the episode. Thanks a lot. No, that was, oh man, bro. Bro, I had like goosebumps. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I felt that because it's so true. Not only going for it or not going for it, the patience, but just how you just never know. Like, yeah, I've been in those situations more than you could even imagine. Well, I don't want to. I mean, do that. I don't want to keep on that subject. So I kind of want to go into the next one, if you don't mind. It's just, and I think this is going to be a lot of your expertise. Um, I'll go back to my story for a second of growing up playing golf, product of like the Tiger boom.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to wear red and black. I idolized the guy. Still, I mean, I'm sad when he doesn't play or misses a cut. So yeah, but I digress. Right now, there aren't people taking up the game necessarily because of Tiger, but because of what pop culture is doing. You look at DJ Khaled and his infatuation with the game. You look at Mark Wahlberg. I mean, it goes down the line, right? There's just so many influential people playing golf right now, making it cooler than it once was. Can you what parallels have you seen with golf and the sneaker world? And like even dude, bro, look, this is where you can just talk for an hour. Like, well, look at Nike, like Nike and what they're doing with their drops and how other brands. I remember Adidas with Palace, what they were trying to do. Like it's just becoming much more of an accepted, collaboration now. So
yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. I think what we're seeing is obviously the pandemic had a lot to do with golf and the growth of golf, but I also think it was the I think there's starting to be more attention paid to golf, just even outside of the pandemic. I think people the culture of sneakers and the culture of like streetwear and skateboarding, that community has gotten to the age where golf is kind of a part of that conversation. And this is a probably way deeper conversation than what we need to have here.
No,
But
I kind of want to
I
have
think
that.
the the economics of that community are starting to match up with the community that plays golf as well. A lot of those people, the hip hop, the skateboarding community, the streetwear community, a lot of those people that are into golf now, they didn't have the money to play golf as kids. Their families didn't have the money to play golf as kids. And this generation that we see now, they've all made enough money where golf is a viable source. They have the disposable income to play the game. Now, because of the sort of cultural and social references that they have as children and that have molded them, even though they're playing the game of golf now, they're bringing that color with
Mm,
them.
mm,
So they're coming into the game with that sort of personality, the same disregard for authority and for rules and for how things should be done, and they're doing it their own way because that's how they got where they are now, through creating their own clothing lines, creating their own music, or playing basketball from it, whatever it is. They're bringing all of that, those personality traits that got them where they are, they're bringing that to the game of golf. And then
yeah.
now that is being shared back to their communities as a way of like, hey, you can still be who you are and play this game. And so I think that's where you see a lot of the boom coming. So COVID, yes, is definitely a part of it, and it's part of growing the game, and because it's the only thing that people can do. But I also think that the people, the generation that is playing golf now, from the hip hop, streetwear, music, all of those communities that are sneaker community, that are, those people are bringing their inherent personalities and the culture that they have within them. They're bringing it to the game, and they're not just accepting that, oh, I have to do this when I play golf. They're like, no, I don't have to do this, and I have the money now that I can still do it the way that I want to do it, kind of thing. And so I think that's what's so infectious, because people look to that, and they look to that attitude and that personality, because that's what they grew up watching. Those are the older heads in their community that they grew up watching. And so you see that sort of appeal being into the game, added to the game of golf. And I think
Hmm.
that's why you see it starting to grow and the aperture starting to widen.
Bro, that man, what another great soundbite. That's beautiful. And to touch on that, no, I'm serious, man. Like I usually sometimes I need to kind of like help steer the conversation. I just completely agree with you. I mean, I had Chris Whitehead on, who's a big fan of yours, who kind of got me turned on to you. Tee Up Kicks with Chris, and he was just like he was on a few weeks ago and said, what he said. Like golf, you can dress to the occasion. Those were his words. And like when I grew up playing, Jacques, you did not. It was polo, shorts, khakis, done. Like there was no diversity in that. And I think to your point, as golf has matured or grown and the aperture has widened to different audiences, you're getting different personalities playing that want other options than polos and khakis, and they're
Yep.
getting that. And the creators out there, and then like shout out to tons of them. Like, Tony Napton at Radry is a good buddy of mine. I love his take on it. Cole is Metalwood. I love what he's a good buddy of mine, what he's doing. There's just, and like, there's not, and I don't know Stephen Malbon, but I know people in the Malbon camp and what they pioneered in the building of that company and that brand. It's just fascinating that you're getting so many new creators in the apparel garment world to help support the personalities that are coming as well. And I think
Yep.
it just, to what you said, like you can now dress to the occasion. If you're going to a country club that has more strict rules, you can still dress your part and still fit in the guideline. If you're going with your buddies to a local meeting for, the emergency nine, go as you. And I think it's really cool to see now fashion. And I'll just use Cole as an example because he's building a fashion company, not a golf company. He's like,
Yep.
it's fashion infused by golf. And it's beautiful to see that personality, that side of fashion adopted.
Yeah, I think what we see Malbon doing is really just the beginning. I think they are just the tip of the iceberg, and you're going to see a generation, like the collabs that Malbon is doing and all the work that they're doing is really just the tip. They're going to be the springboard, and I think that they're gonna father so many different brands and be the inspiration for so many different brands in the future. that really set the tone and the pace for golf for the next 10 to 15 years. And it's going to be fantastic to see. You're going to see like the culture of golf is going to grow in a way, even at the high end country clubs that expect you to dress a certain way. Like there's like some people can dress a certain way in a suit and a tie, but you know, Idris Elba walks in a room in a suit and it's a totally different feeling. Jay-Z walks in a room in a suit and tie and a three-piece suit and the tux, and it's a totally different feeling. It's a totally different energy. So that sort of energy and vibe being infused into golf, whether you're at your local muni or you're at, you're at LACC for God's sakes, like that sort of energy and vibe being infused into the world is
Yeah.
infectious, and it just trickles down.
So you've seen so many different collaborations and drops over your lifetime and being a creator. What are
Yeah.
some of your favorite that you've seen that maybe parallel what you've seen in the sneaker world? Like, what do you love? What have you loved that's come out so far? Let's start there.
In the
And why?
sneaker world or in golf?
No, golf. And why?
So like right now, something that just happened with the Women's U.S. Open is what they're doing with Michelle Wie, like giving her an Air Jordan 1 to tell her story. Like that is literally basketball and golf like clashing in a way that we don't really see. Like Eastside Golf had their Air Jordan 1, and Jordan Brand started with the Air Jordan 1 with their golf shoe, their Jordan 1 golf shoe. But this is someone endemic to the game of golf. Michelle Wie, one of the biggest names in the sport, regardless of how she's playing or when the last time she played or any of that, she's still one of the biggest names in the sport, especially on the women's side. She's arguably like the biggest woman golfer and woman golfer in the world, regardless of whatever her record is. And she's telling her story on an Air Jordan 1 golf shoe. She's not telling it on the Air Zoom Infinity or the Nike whatever golf shoe. She's telling it on a Jordan 1 golf shoe. Like that speaks volumes to me. It shows that the golf world is starting to understand the relevance of sneaker culture, and that the culture that would buy an Air Jordan 1 and knowing that they are heavily integrated into the world of golf and telling that story. Because if they didn't feel like they could tell her story appropriately, they wouldn't use the Air Jordan 1. They would use a traditional golf sneaker. But this flips that totally on its head and shows how much relevance this community is starting to have in the world of golf.
So educate me on that, because I got to apologize to anybody listening, everybody listening. Like I'm not a sneakerhead. I'm not even that like big into fashion. I love golf. I love what it's I like learning. So put it that way. Educate me, please, for the love of all that is holy in this world. The AJ1. I mean, even a friend of mine made a movie about this. But like, what is the significance? What is the impact? Why is it so important? I understand the band and I've seen that whole thing and I get it. But like, when did it come back into the light? Like the world is like, whoa, this is like a staple. And why?
Probably the early 2010s is when the Jordan 1, Jordan retros had such a huge comeback in like the 2010s, I think. In the early 2010s, they just became a bigger part of the lexicon, and it just grabbed hold. Like there's certain sneakers that have a relevance beyond their actual physical form. Like the Converse Chuck Taylor are all stars. Like those shoes will forever be iconic. There's something iconic about them. Everybody recognizes them. Everybody knows what they are. The Nike Air Force One, everybody knows what that is. The Adidas Shell Toe, everybody knows what that shoe is. The New Balance 990 or 550, you may not know exactly what New Balance that is, but you've heard like the relevance of that. And in the 2010s, the Air Jordan 1 entered into that lexicon. It entered into that rare sort of air where it becomes a shoe that everybody recognizes and everybody knows what it is. It's credited as the shoe that created sneaker culture back in 1980s, in the 80s when it was first released. So it's already been given that credit. And then 2010, as sneakers grew in popularity, the Air Jordan 1 also grew in popularity and became this icon in a sense in the world of sneakers, and transcended sneakers into like pop culture, into the general zeitgeist of American
Sure.
culture.
Yeah.
And so I think now seeing it transition into golf, but that was as a basketball shoe. Now it's transitioning into the world of golf and becoming a staple in that world. There's no pretty much every golf course you go to now, you'll probably see someone golfing in a Jordan 1 low golf shoe. It's
100%.
become such a part of the world of golf. And it's like, but that's because there was a hunger for something like that. If Jordan can release any shoe they want and tie it to any sport, they could do a hockey, a football, whatever. But if there's no hunger for it, people aren't going to buy it and people aren't going to want it. There was an obvious hunger and a need and a want for that. And now it's just a part of the golf world, just like any other shoe, but it's still a basketball shoe. So
It
to
is,
see
yeah.
Michelle use it like that makes me so happy. It just makes me super excited for what can happen in the world of golf when you really think outside of the box and find those really relevant cultural touch points that you can bring into the sport.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you saw a Jordan golf shoe?
The first Jordan golf shoe. Geez, that's a great question. They've been doing them for a few years now, but they were so few and far between.
That's
God,
my
it had to
point,
be like
dude.
4 or 5 years ago. It had to be
That was
like
my
four
point.
or 5 years
I think
ago.
it was 6 years ago. I think. I don't quote me on this,
Oh,
but then 6 years ago, I remember there was the ST trainer, the elephant print trainer. It
yeah.
wasn't even like a
Yep.
Jordan number. And I was
Yep.
like, it was at a country club member guest. I kid you not. And I was like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
that? And I was like,
Yeah.
it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I think there was, before they re-released the sixes, which are out now, there was a previous model.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, I remember my mind blew, and this is going to get to a question for you, the expert. What was it? Do you think, what was it about? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one, Jacques. I'm sure everyone's minds were blown equally because look at the effect it's had. Like they've
Yeah.
had so many releases, so like, and they're uber popular. So like, why? What was it about taking a basketball shoe with Michael Jordan's popularity, putting some golf spikes on, and be like, let's go?
I think it felt like most of sneaker culture, and this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier with the other guys, is like it's counter to what you expect in the game of
Yeah,
golf. It's like it's counter to the rules. It breaks the rules of what a golf shoe should look like, or what a golf sneaker should look like, or what people expect from a golf shoe or a golf sneaker. And again, that community that grew up loving Jordans is playing golf now. It's a part of their routine, and they want to be themselves. They want to bring
yeah,
what they always had to the game, and
yeah.
it just opened the door to that. It's almost like Costin did a collab with Kobe. Gosh, this was 2015, maybe 2016. He made like a SB shoe, but it was inspired by Kobe Bryant's basketball shoe, and it was the same thing. It was like the skateboarding community had this such love and passion for basketball, and Eric Costin being like a leader and a legend in that community, he wanted to bring that same appeal to his skateboarding. It's the energy of Michael Jordan, or the energy of the thought of Michael Jordan, that I think people wanted to bring that with them to the golf course.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I didn't make the connection that when they released the Jordans, the golf shoes. Again, I think it's 6 years ago. That's when a lot of us who grew up playing or idolizing Michael and for basketball or other sports and wore the shoes, just wore the basketball shoes. We now got a chance to wear them golfing. It was like,
Yep.
whoa. So it was that smash of that world. So next question for you and your expert brain. Why don't more brands like Adidas? Why don't they the shell toe? Why don't they release them? Like why is it that Nike and Jordan are the pioneers of this movement and really so far ahead of every other brand?
Well, I think there's two parts to that. So Adidas is doing stuff. They
I'm
have a
not saying
shell
they're
toe.
not. I know
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, they have like the shell toe version of the golf
The
shoe. They have the
Sambas.
Sambas. They have the Stan Smiths. It's just I think Nike has just and Jordan have such a lead in popularity that's why they're able to kind of push the envelope and lead. But I think it is brands like Adidas that are really pushing the narrative and really opening the window. They're doing more experimental things, and they're really like embracing the culture. I think a little more, I would say would say more than what Nike and Jordan Brand are doing. Jordan Brand and Nike are living off of their IP kind of right now, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what's keeping them going and keeping them alive. But I think Adidas is really pushing into that territory. They're reaching out to creators, they're reaching out to people and having conversations about like what is it, like what do you want to see from us, what is it that we can do to help enhance the game of golf, what can we bring based on our archive to the game of golf. So you see brands like Adidas doing that, and it really for me it's like that's what you need, because you don't need just one player. It can't just be Nike/Jordan. It needs to be Adidas. It needs to be Saucony. It needs to be New Balance. It needs to be Reebok. It
Yeah,
needs to
yeah,
be
yeah,
all
yeah.
of these. It needs to be all of these brands bringing their own personal energy to the game and helping the game grow. Because then they're also pushing each other, and even you can even see by all of that they're doing now, they're pushing the traditional golf brands. So they're pushing FootJoy to look outside of the envelope and do things a little bit differently. And like that's what they, and without them, they wouldn't do that. Like FootJoy, they're eating regardless. Like they don't need, they don't need to do the collabs. But you see them now starting to notice the shift and the change in the way that the culture accepts or walks into the game. And so they're switching up and doing more sneaker looking shoes, not just hard bottoms, or even with their hard bottoms, they're doing these like sort of collabs and stuff. And you even see like equipment brands. You see TaylorMade doing these golf bags. Not that they didn't do like golf bags for tournaments before, but you see they're really focusing on it now and pushing it out to the audience, so the audience to see. And it's almost like a player exclusive for an NBA player. So they're adding the energy that they see within these other sports and bringing it to the game of golf, because that community is here and that community is going to appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, agreed on everything you said. Again, what do you think? Yeah, it's definitely going to disagree with the expert. What on that note of being the expert and watching this happen in the sneaker culture, right? Seeing all the different collaborations of people coming in, coming out. What do you forecast? What do you see happening in like fast? Because like I agree. Like I love, by the way, just quick side note, I love that FootJoy is like a traditional old golf brand is seeing. I don't think they're doing it out of like necessity or like out of jealousy. They're doing it because they want to actually tap into this new audience as well. Their collaboration with Metalwood, and it's like, I mean, I have the sneakers right here, the shoes right here. It's like I think it's amazing, and it's a beautiful testament to that the game is, I don't even want to say growing, but it's evolving. It is, the aperture, again, as you said, is so wide now. And it's like, I think brands are like, I don't want to be stuck in this just white golf shoe. I want FootJoy to be a name that you can wear Jordans one day and you can still wear FootJoy the next day. I want to be a
Yep.
part of this widening aperture. So I love that you said that. So, but back to the question. What you're forecasting? Like you've seen brands collaborate, you've seen sneaker world evolve, you've seen where it's gone. Like, what are you excited about when you look to the future of this world?
Um, I think the thing that I'm most excited about is golf just becoming more accessible to more people. That's really what it is for me. Like I grew up in Pacoima, 15 minutes from a golf course at Handsome Dam, and I've never played there. I grew up there my whole life, high school, junior high, elementary, all of that, and never had a chance to play there. I was at the Boys and Girls Club, which is 5 minutes from Hanson Dam, and we never got to go to Hanson Dam. So like that's where I guess that's what makes me most exciting, is being able to expose people to the game that haven't traditionally been exposed to the game. And I think as more people in my position and in my world, or that have within my 6 degrees of separation, like more of those people get involved with the game, I think they'll involve their children in the game. And once their children become involved with the game, that's going to reshape and restructure the way we look at golf, and the way that
Yeah,
they look at golf, and the way they look at the game. It's a
yeah,
beautiful game. It's a challenging game. It's tough. The strategy of the game, but there's something about the feeling of hitting a pure shot from the middle of the fairway that you just can't replicate. Like I try to, as I watch, the tournaments on the weekend, and I'm screaming Kobe every time somebody, hits a shot, hits a shot from the fairway and it goes in the
that's
hole.
great.
You
That's
know what I
great.
mean? Like for
Yeah,
me, that's a Kobe moment, and I want that energy. But I think that energy will start to be a part of the game more as we see it, and bring that sort of, that passion for the game. Because it's not to say that golfers aren't passionate, because they are, but they don't get to show it, and they've been told
Right.
they can't show it for so long. You can't get it. You can, when you win, you can yes, like, and that's really all that you can do. You can't, you can't really show when you person because of the etiquette. But I think that's going to change.
I
So
think
for
so too.
me, it's really exposing a different generation to the game, and not only exposing them to the game, but making them feel comfortable enough to be themselves when they're
Yeah.
out there playing.
Yeah. That's really, again, really well said, and thank you for that take. You being known as like the sneaker guy, like just people look to you for these updates and reviews. Was it a little? Were you nervous about introducing golf into your page and into your being online, or was it kind of a natural evolution? Like,
No,
what's that feedback like?
not at all. I wasn't nervous at all. I like it's a part of who I am, and I think the more people can know that
Golf is
you
a part of who you are.
golf is a
Just
part of who I am. Yeah, and I think people seeing that you being able to just be you, I think that's more accessible to people than to someone that's only does this one thing. Because I don't want people to like what I don't want the people to think is like that I'm only this one thing and that they can only be that one thing, whatever it is that they're doing. Like you can be into sneakers and you can also love golf and you can also love pottery. You can also love to, I don't know, fashion Terminator dolls out of junk from the junkyard, whatever it is. You know what I mean? You could be who you are
yeah,
and still represent sneakers online and still represent golf, and that doesn't diminish who you are in any bit.
right. I first thought of when you said that, when to make it about Mully for one sec, when we built Mully, uh, people were like, you got to be super focused, like just do golf clubs. I'm like, but no, that's not what golf is. Golf is there's so much to a marketplace that like I want golf to be. And this
Yeah.
isn't just golf clubs and like bro, we're working on so many things. So tip of the arrow is getting crazy to think about now. But for the public, it's like I just I wanted to create a space where if you're a sneakerhead, you're probably going to Grail, StockX, and that's your community, that's your world, and that's how you're connecting. I want that same feeling from Mully, so I didn't want to have just clubs or just accessories. I wanted to have it like everything because, and what we've seen, bro, like what we've seen in just the last year and a half of being live, is I see the evolution of it. First started with the gearheads, obviously buying and selling, like go clubs, and now you're getting people asking to trade hats. Like, you have this metal hat, I want this metal. Like they're asked, like it's so beautiful because it is everything. It's in its personalities. To your point, we're getting a lot of different stuff, and I couldn't be more blessed to have someone like you pioneer more of this change and to take your sneaker culture and to introduce people that love you. They love you and like, hey guys, golf is this world that's awesome. Check this out. I'm like, oh, because
Yeah.
you've done that. You've done that. So I got to thank you, man.
Oh, well, thank you for the kind word. It's almost like hearing you say that almost makes me think like the currency of golf is changing. Like at one point, the currency of golf was, oh, you get into this club, or it still is to a certain extent. Like, oh, I have a hat from Masters, or I have a ball marker from Pebble Beach. Now, like I have my ball marker is a pair of Jordan ones with a pair of Nike socks. And so my friends see that and they're like, "Oh shit, where'd you get that from?" It's not, "Oh dude, you played Brendan Dunes." Like I want that ball marker. Like that's not the ball marker they want anymore. They want the Jordan one ball marker. Like that's what's cool to them. And like you said, the Metalwood hat. It's
Yeah.
not that you have the Riv hat now. It's like, oh, you have a Metalwood hat, like a brand, as opposed to you went to the Masters or you went to the Players. Like that's what they want now. So I think that like the currency within the game is starting to change as well, and that's super freaking exciting.
And check this out. It's like Grail has done a tremendous amount of connecting of people in their ecosystem, and like people have been able to create shops within Grail.
Yeah,
Similarly, within Mully, you're seeing people. To your point, I'm seeing creators, people make stuff, like go make stuff, like a AJ1 hat, a golf hat, like an Imperial hat, and creating stores in Mully because they know there's a focused audience of golfers. So not only is the currency changing, you're having businesses like all the credit to Malbon and Metalwood. They had a huge lift in the beginning and a lot of momentum behind them to get to where they are. But if you're seeing so many new brands pop up now, like people that just want a side hustle, and like they're using our platform because it's golf
yeah,
focused. And it's beautiful to see the creations. Like I'm talking, there was a divot fixer, a divot tool that I was like, the artistry. I'm like, this is beautiful. How many you have? He's like, I only make like 10, but it's awesome. It's fun. And I'm like,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
you're starting to see cultural touch points being integrated into the golf tools, and like that if that's not a clear sign of where the game is headed, I don't know what is, because like that's the golf nerd stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's the golf nerd stuff. You have a very specific divot tool that you like and that you use all the time. golf
Yeah.
Golf guys, like there's a certain tee that they like, it's very specific,
Yeah.
or they only get a certain grip. And like I think that is honestly the next big like place for golf is golf grips. Like Golf Pride has it on lock. Like they got that
Agreed.
shit locked down.
Agreed.
But
Yeah.
I think there is plenty of room there for them to do the same tech, get the same tech specs, but add some flavor and some feel to those that you don't necessarily have now. Because
Mhm.
like that's you. I think that's just an open place for golf to really expand.
100%. 100%. I have a couple more questions. I know we're coming up on time here, and I want to let you go, but a
Okay,
couple more questions.
let's do
One,
it.
um, so first of all, what's in the bag? We got to get what's in the bag from Jacques right now.
Um, right now I have I think it's D7s for most of my irons from Wilson. I have an old it's dead, honestly. I have an old Nike made a black 56 years ago, and I just love the way like the black face looks, and the grooves are damn near gone now. I
Gone.
really
Yeah.
need to upgrade it. So I need to get that, and then I have a Wilson driver too. They just sent me their new driver. I've been using that in my last couple of rounds.
The
I forgot.
Dynapower. Yeah, dude,
Dynamo.
I have it. That's my gamer.
Yeah,
That's a missile.
yeah. So I've been using that probably my last 3-4 rounds. I've been using the Dynapower. I have a Stealth 2 that I haven't used yet. It's just literally just been sitting in the garage. Um, yeah, my three is a Wilson. It's a Wilson bag. Balls. I'm still on my Kirkland balls because I lose a lot of them, but like I've been using more of the Wilson Duos. I've been using the Wilson Duos, and then I use the Vice Pro. I've been using the Vice Pro as well, just because I like the way that they look. I like the little like the
The
confetti
spec.
looking
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ball. Yeah,
The
yeah,
paint, the paint splotch. Yeah.
yeah. Paint splatter. There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Let me give you the insight on all insider stuff with golf. The and this is not because I have friends there. This is not paid. This is unsolicited. This is like my swear. This is my honest to God take. I've been playing Pro V1 for my life. I just, as a golfer growing up in the 90s in the tournament, I played Pro V1. Pro V1 and I are like, it's like a long time relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
My buddies at Wilson were like, hey, and I'm like, I don't want the 4-piece staff model. It's not, I've spin the ball too much. To go, no, you have to play the triad.
The
And
triad.
I am blown away by how consistently the ball flies, and the flight of it is insanely good. Spins a lot, and it is freaking long. I'm like, again, you're like, oh no, this is. I swear to God, it's one of the best balls I've ever played. And I thought about it. My buddy's like, why are you playing this? I'm like, well, if you think about it, the science, they're in every other category of sport. They have R&D and data on from baseball, basketball, football, tennis. So it's like, why wouldn't they make the best ball for golf? But that's my
No,
tangent.
no, 100%. Like I've talked to people like that play other balls, and like they see, because I have a Wilson bag, and they're like, yo, they like the triads, like those are legit. Like every
Legit.
no one I haven't heard anyone dismiss the triad. They're like, yo, the triads are legit.
Yeah.
They're expensive, but they're legit.
But I think they're still like $5 like less than a dozen of Pro V1.
Probably one.
I think they're like 39 and everyone's like 42 or something. I don't quote me on that, but
Golf
okay,
balls
so you
are
got to,
expensive in general, but that's a whole different
yes,
conversation.
especially when you lose on that guy, do. Yeah. Thank you for the what's in the bag. The second to last question before I let you say some thanks to the people in your camp, because I know, bro, from the entrepreneur's life to entrepreneur, there's a lot of people to thank. So maybe, but before we get there, my last question: what's next, dude? Like again, entrepreneur. I love your tenacity. I love your personality. I love what you do for the community. I love what you do in general. I think it's really admirable, and it's something I'm going to aspire to learn from you for what I create for Mully and this podcast even. But what's next? I know you got to be looking forward. I'm sure you have brands breathing down in your neck, trying to do collaborations every day. But like, what in a perfect world, 5 years from now, like what are you up to?
Perfect world 5 years from now. one, I continue doing what I'm doing sneaker wise. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of just continue growing in that space and learning and doing things in that space. But I think for 5 years from now, I think like right now, golf is probably about 5 to 10% of my business. 5 years from now, I want golf to be like 50% of my business.
Let's
I
go. I
want
love hearing
to
that. That's great.
I want to expand. Like I have a relationship with the PGA Tour. I have a show with them called Voices that's focuses on like the different more diverse topics inside of golf, and so like I want to really expand on that. I want to do more on location broadcasting with them. I do it now with them once or twice a year, but like I want to expand that to like maybe like half a dozen times a year. I have this like really lofty goal of where like I want to I want to take over the cut. I want to take it not so it's not just like a highlight show on that they do. I want it to be like a really hosted show that really like digs into the world of golf. So like that's I think a goal for me for like the next 5 years. And I have a couple of ideas about golf shows that I want to do. I want to create a YouTube series with like that chronicles golf. Like there's a lot of that out there now, I know, but I just want to add something that has a little different flavor to it. There's a TV show I want to do, a game show I want to do around golf. Like I have like tons of ideas that I want to do kind of around golf, and so that's why like again in 5 years I want it to be like half of my business. I want to really focus on turning golf into like a major talking point of what I'm doing.
Having become new friends, getting to know you a little bit better, I honestly can say that I really do feel like if that happened, golf would be in a better place. I think your energy, brother, and what you bring to this space is not only wanted, it's needed. So I pray that all happens for you, and I have no doubt it will. So if you need help, bro, you got a guy that'll help you. I know a guy that knows a guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I
thank
mean,
you.
yeah.
And again, thank you for the kind words. You've been very, very kind and generous today. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for allowing me to come on the podcast and run my mouth about golf. I know there's plenty of people that could probably speak better to the game and have more experience
Not
in
from
the
your
game.
perspective, brother. Not from your perspective. So you bring that unique side. So in closing, man, like I'd love for you to just take the mic and thank the people that have helped you get here, and any parting words you may have.
I mean, it's really for me. Just thank you for bringing me on. Like my team, they know I love them and I appreciate them, and everybody that's gotten me here, they all know how much I appreciate them. But really, this is more of my opportunity just to say thank you for what you're doing and having the vision that you have, and bringing creators like me on to be able to talk and share our stories about the game of golf. I think it only helps golf and makes the game better. So thank you for that. That's really where my thank you goes. Like they don't need to follow me or any of that kind of stuff.
They probably already do. But Jacques, thank you. I'd love to, not 5 years, but hopefully we'll fast track that. Maybe you're a scratch golfer, maybe you're not. I mean, maybe we'll get you down. But I'd like to do this again and maybe touch base in a bit when we can kind of see how golf has grown and the further impact that the culture has on it. So
absolutely. I'm a 17 now. So next time we talk, I better be under 10.
There we go, bro. All right, man. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
All right.